as judge, I spent so much time monitoring the audio equipment to make sure everyone was getting down, that it's hard to rule on judges because you can't multitask like that. I can't. Legend. Sit up in that reserve seat. Yeah, that's just sit in. Oh. Isn't it a weird feeling? No, actually, they did know they were the ones after the judges. I don't think it was bad. That's what it says. Missouri, the family that the judges in court first. First family in there. You're right. How are you? Good. Judges in court. I was trying to find her text.
The AAs and family are included.
Yeah, it says family. We'll just stay there. Okay. It is for current judges.
Oh, it could
I'm
be.
sure they're in the judges.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I thought she. No, we got a text about it. Thank you so much. Oh, sure. Okay, she said I have reserved seating on the two front rows. On the left side for judges and court reporters, and on the right side for AAs and families. Just so you
Where,
make it out.
who did that?
It came that way.
It did?
Yes.
You found that?
In
somewhere?
Wichita, at a Hallmark store.
In Wichita.
A steno machine?
I really think it's a typewriter, but it looks
Oh.
like a steno machine.
Oh. Oh my gosh. And you put the letters on?
No, it was already on there.
Oh my
Joyce
gosh.
and I were walking around this Hallmark store a couple of weeks ago, and we both walked kind of different directions, and we stopped right there, and we looked at each other like, oh my gosh, we gotta get that.
Holy cow, how cool.
And then I filled it with these Hershey's. I didn't know it was Hershey or Southern chocolates. So I said, keep your favorites out and put something else in. Oh, what about your chocolates? So have you retired or are you?
No, I still work, so I don't take everything.
That's good.
Are you doing anything?
No, watching grandkids.
Yeah. That's a good job.
It is, although I've been in Missouri after her luncheon. I left back after the luncheon, went to Missouri and just came back today. And so when I was gonna leave, the ones that I watch here, Haley's gonna be 13th in August, and she goes, I hear you're ditching us. I'm like, no, what? She goes, I hear you're ditching us for a few days. Or why are you ditching us? And I said, well, because I do have another life. She looks at me, she goes, we are your class. Yes. No. So you're talking trouble.
Oh, I'm gonna talk to them.
Oh, I thought you were.
No, it would be news to me. I'm not a public speaker. I hate it.
I've done it, well, I did it, she got her distinguished member.
Oh, yeah.
And I was supposed to give her Facebook, well, mine was during COVID, so public wasn't even allowed in the courthouse, so it was just few. Kind of made it all about court.
Can you guys see the beach from there? Ken? Sitting there. Just such good view. I will go ahead and.
Yeah, I'm sure you're fucking paperback.
It's been made, so I'll make it.
Yeah.
Do what they do.
Yeah, yeah. Some other stuff that my girls can throw around. You're talking about your.
That could be.
Oh, the eggs are on the too. Oh, that's right. Sit on the.
I don't know, but they would count what it says on the print. The whole second one.
Just that first.
Yeah.
Go find it.
Go over here. Two rows on the left.
Recognizes.
Oh, there's my mom's. Okay.
So, and then there's my stuff.
I've never seen you without Mary Kay, so I just, I'm like, no. How you doing? All good? Good, good.
So.
Care where you sit. Pretend you got out.
Sit down, sit down. Yeah.
So.
I know it's hard. I quit.
Oh, you can brag her. Right, when I left, when he started.
Yeah, you would.
Well.
I did not.
Oh, yeah. Like here, yes. Matt's here.
I can't tell her that.
I have to buy me.
We're in the first two.
Okay.
How are you today? You're looking sharp, man. You gotta thank you.
I went all the way around. Although you got
Good afternoon, everyone. I see we may still have some folks filing in, but it's 3:31 and we said we'd start at 3:30, so we're gonna try to stay on track. For those that don't know, my name is James McCabery. I am the chief judge here in Douglas County, and it's my honor to be able to officiate this special session and the special occasion for Mary Kay. 1975 to 2025. Thank you all for attending. We have family, friends, professional colleagues of Mary Kay. And for those that don't know, we are being broadcast on the court's YouTube channel live. So for those who are watching from that venue, welcome as well. I have no idea how many employees of this district or any district in Kansas have 50-year employees to celebrate, but that's special enough. But with Mary Kay, it's certainly more than years of service that make this a special occasion. It's more than length of service, because the one thing that has always stood out to me about Mary Kay, and I think anybody who has dealt with her, is that Mary Kay is as enthusiastic today as any first-year employee in the district court that I've ever known or dealt with. She's just endlessly up for the task. When I first became acquainted with Mary Kay as an attorney, I noticed that if I ever had questions or needed assistance, there was almost always a smile. There was always a willingness to be helpful. As I got to know Mary Kay in my position as judge and chief judge, if there was an issue affecting court reporters in the state of Kansas, Mary Kay was often the first one to email me to give me her perspective or to tell me what the Kansas Court Reporters Association had to say about it. And sometimes the first I found out that there was an issue was when Mary Kay would approach me about it and let me know I needed to be aware of this. So I always appreciated having her to know that we could count on, because it was also the reputation of the district that she took very seriously. Anytime we needed to have coverage or to make sure that coverage is organized, again, as chief, I knew that I would be getting that email and that she would be working tirelessly to make sure that matters were covered. When it came to being asked to make remarks, I thought to myself, I need to keep it short because I know others will be speaking. So whatever more I could say about Mary Kay, dedicated, professional, a joy to work with, I don't think I could overstate the case, but I'm going to allow Judge Pokorny to follow me, and we're going to hear from some of her colleagues, some of her family. But Mary Kay is one of those individuals that really helps attorneys and others be the best that they can be, and she will be missed, but we are certainly glad for next steps for her. So with that, I'll introduce Judge Pokorny.
Thank you. I'm not confident that we know the plant. Do you all remember the movie Broadcast News? I know some of you don't, you weren't even born. It's pretty old, it's 1987. Holly Hunter is one of the leading characters in that movie. And every morning she would wake up, sit up in bed, grab a box of Kleenex and cry as hard as she could. She would cry and cry and cry and cry. And then when she couldn't cry anymore, she would go to work. And her theory was she had a stressful job. It's a very much male-dominated profession. And if she got all that crying out, nothing that happened would cause her to cry in her professional stance. Well, I tried that this morning. And I just couldn't cry. Now, I will tell you this. I think you all know I live with Patty McCormick, and for a week, Patty has said, I just hate seeing you so sad. And I have been really sad, and so is Mary Kay. So now I'm gonna start crying, not this morning when I had a chance. Mary Kay and I absolutely did not know each other at all when I was appointed to be a judge in Douglas County. No, it's 2009, but as we got to know each other, it was really like we had lived parallel lives. We lived 113 miles apart from each other, exactly east to west. Her dad was an appliance repair person who repaired everybody's appliances in Wellington, Kansas. My dad sold appliances to everybody in Independence, Kansas. We both lost our mothers at a pretty young age. Mary Kay, a lot younger than I, but still, I thought I was awfully young to lose my mother when I did. And then we both left our small hometowns at the age of 18. We headed off to more schooling. And then both of us chose in that schooling the legal profession and ended up here in the 7th Judicial District of Douglas County, Kansas, in the same small area and working together. I want to tell you some things about Mary Kay that really are pretty amazing. She was recruited to go to Brown Mackie College, was told there's this great course, you know, you'll be an independent woman, you can make your own living, and it's going to take you 48 months. Most people take 48 months to get through this program. Well, Mary Kay got through it in 16 months. And what she swears there's one person who did it faster than she did, but one person faster than that? Just unbelievable. She's so modest. So at the end of her 16 months, she gets hired to work in Wyandotte County. And her parents drive her to Wyandotte County, and they're so proud that they find an apartment for her right by the courthouse. And they just basically drop her off there, and she shows up at work the next day, tells the judge where she's living, and he says, "Oh, you gotta move. You're in the worst part of Kansas City, Kansas for an 18-year-old. And she did move, but not because the judge told her to. She was tired of running around a desk and having her bottom pinched for 9 months. And, you know, and I want to remind all of you, and so what is it about the good old days that we all miss? Not that part. Saw that there was an opening in Douglas County, came over, was immediately hired, and then she has lived happily ever after at 11th in Massachusetts. She started her career as a court reporter over in the Watkins Museum on the 2nd floor. She got to watch this building be constructed as she would come to and from work. And as all things, circle of life, I went and saw Lion King this weekend. Now that she's leaving, she is getting to watch something being built behind this courthouse that we hope will have some courtrooms. Some people are calling it a courthouse. When I was sworn in, Mary Kay said goodbye, because we picked the swearing in date as the day she always leaves to go on her 2-week cruise. So she left me, but that was okay. I went to judge's school for a little while, and Becky was taking good care of me, trying to teach me stuff. But the real training and education of Judge Pokorny did not start until Mary Kay came back. And I can tell you this, I couldn't have asked for 2 better trainers than Becky Stevens and Mary Kay Howe. Every day, they would look at me, and at some point in the day, the sentence would start with, "Well, now, you are the judge." And there'd be a, and you can do whatever you think is right and appropriate. But in these circumstances, we have often seen Judge Malone or Judge Fairchild or Judge Paddock or Judge King do fill in whatever crazy thing I was not going to do, you know, or appropriate thing I wasn't going to do. And I bet at the most, I waited 45 seconds. And listen, cogitated the advice. I always took their advice, always did. I swear I never went with the first instinct. And then pretty soon my first instincts became good instincts because of that good training. Then the other thing I was doing as a new judge, is there an aura in a courtroom that it's like being a substitute teacher, but there's people just know you're the newbie and that maybe you don't have a handle on what's going on. So there were a number of times where I'd be sitting up there and I'd have this obstreperous witness who was not listening to the questions, was talking over the attorneys, was asking questions back. And my problem is I didn't want to say, hey, you, that seems rude, but I would start going, da, 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 to get their attention. And it did get their attention. It worked pretty well. But I don't know, I did it a number of times. And finally, Mary Kay took me aside and said, I'm a pretty good court reporter, but I just don't know how to spell da 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 or whatever it is that you're doing there up on that bench. And I said, well, Mary Kay, the problem is I didn't know their name and I didn't just want to yell, hey, you, Adam. And it was just out of frustration. And she said, I ask them to spell their name every time they come to get sworn in. Maybe you could just write it down. And I did. It helped immensely. The other thing that I did make a rule, one rule. I'm the only rule I made. All the other rules were made by Becky and Mary Kay. Is that they were not to let me go into the courtroom looking like Tammy Faye after a good cry. And I did want them to look at me and make sure I was okay. They took that to heart. Even as we were taking pictures the other day, Mary Kay is finger combing my hair, to get me. But I also told her to go put on some lipstick. So it was a mutual, we are taking care of each other. We all want to look our best, do our best. But I never expected anybody to take it so far as when I walked in one morning and Mary Kay said, don't ever wear that outfit again. I said, what? And she said, no, it just doesn't look good. Yeah, you look much better. It just does not do you justice. Don't wear that outfit again. And I did not. I went home and looked at myself actually and thought, yeah, she's right. This is not for me. The other just day-to-day thing that we would do is after court, I would go back to her office and we would look at each other and say, conversate? Is there a word such as conversate? Who made up that word? Why are we listening to conversate? Or we would say, did you ever think that we would hear that ever, anywhere, not only just in a courtroom? And the one that came to mind to me was the custody fight over frozen eggs. And you would think it was because, well, I want the babies and but no, I want the babies. No, it was husband saying, nobody gets those babies because I don't want somebody to have a baby and I got to pay child support. And that was what the whole fight was about, but it was also an interesting legal issue. And several of you are here that will know this beyond a doubt. If Mary Kay likes you, she never lets you go, no matter what the circumstance. Mary Kay is still best friends with ex-husbands and ex-boyfriends' sisters. I liked him when I was with that guy. Why shouldn't I just keep on liking him? Um, also, my favorite though is Mary Kay was set up on a blind date with Ron Baker's very best friend. And then they ended up getting married. And then they ended up getting divorced. But the Bakers threw over the high school best friend in order to keep Mary Kay in their lives. And all I can say is my hope, my strong hope is that you never let me go, because I promise I'm never going to let you go. Okay. Now I calculated this sort of in my head, but we've worked together for nearly 3,300 days, which is a lot of days to be hanging out with somebody. And there's really not a day that hasn't gone by that we didn't laugh together. Sometimes we cried together, that somehow we didn't support each other. It's been an incredible 3,300 days. And all I kept thinking was, how lucky could I have ever, I just can't imagine the luck. I mean, I had a Democratic governor appoint me. I had fate who brought me to Douglas County, not even ever thought I would live here. And then I get to be with Mary Kay. Couldn't be a happier ending. Love you very much.
My name is Ellen Grant. I am one of the new court reporters here at Douglas County. As a court reporter, being the focus of attention of everybody in the courtroom is not my favorite thing. So I'll keep this a little bit shorter than Judge Pokorny's, but certainly no less sweet. Not too long ago, Mary Kay called me in my office. I picked up the phone and she said, "Ellen, it's your mother." And you know what? I didn't even question it. Because honestly, I could not ask for someone more supportive, more caring, and more generous with her time than Mary Kay. The reason I have the career I do is because of her unwavering support. And because of her confidence. Because if Mary Kay tells you that she thinks you can do something, you'd better be able to do it. So when I started to go to court reporting school, taught by her daughter, Miranda, she was there for me every single day. She was cheering me on. She was listening to my frustration. She got me a cake when I passed my exam. She really was one of my courthouse mothers. I love the career I have, and I credit a lot of that to Mary Kay because her sense of humor and her professionalism that has carried her through, she has shared with me. Even when it's weird, even when I get every strange, off-the-wall attorney question, pro se party question, things that she'll look at me and say, "You know, Ellen, I've been doing this 50 years. I have never seen that before." And I'll say, "Oh, good. I'm so glad I could be the first to bring this to you." She's just been a rock the entire time. She's devoted her time and her experience, not just to me, but to Kansas, to so many aspiring court reporters. She has been holding a practice test with KCRA before the exam that I took, before I went and took my exam, and it helped me. I'm going to carry that torch as well and probably be calling you in to keep helping me with that as we go along. If I can do half as much for court reporting as Mary Kay has done, I'll be amazed with myself. So I'm just one of the many people that you've helped, but thank you sincerely. You're retiring, you're going to be missed, but I've still got your phone number, so you're not getting away from me either. And then next, Tammy's going to come up and say some other things on the professional side for the court.
Yes, I'm Tammy Hogsett. I'm one of the retired court reporters. I first met Mary Kay at Brown Mackie College in Salina, Kansas in the fall of 1975. She was graduating as Debbie Oakleaf and I were beginning school. And shortly after we met her, she passed her certified shorthand reporter test. And her first court reporting job was in Wyandotte County for a year before coming to Douglas County, where she's been the last 49 years. As we settled into our jobs, the three of us became more involved with the Kansas Court Reporter Association. Every profession has a superhero, And we would consider Mary Kay to be ours. She is so passionate, has never been shy about jumping in to serve our profession, as evidenced by the fact that she has been the KCRA Treasurer, Secretary, Vice President, and President. Even though Mary Kay would be the first to admit she doesn't like politics, she served from 91 to 98 as the legislative co-chair because she felt someone needed to step up and help out on the committee. She currently serves as treasurer and will continue to do so after her retirement. In 2011, Mary Kay was presented with the Distinguished Member Award by the Kansas Court Reporter Association, a well-deserved award. The KCRA board knew they could always turn to Mary Kay to help organize a seminar or software training. Over the years, she has planned many events where she worked with the National Court Reporters Association to ensure that the reporters were able to maintain their continuing education credits. She has also volunteered her time to dictate for court reporters getting ready to take their state test, as well as help with her daughter's voice writing school. It's been very common for new reporters to sit in court with Mary Kay, and she's been instrumental in helping to fill new reporter positions. Mary Kay enjoys organizing get-togethers with current and retired employees, as well as her past court reporting classmates and teachers. If there is a celebration or party to plan, Mary Kay is usually the first to get the date on everyone's calendar. One year, when the KU Jayhawks were playing at noon in the NCAA tournament, she had the court reporters over for a potluck lunch so we could watch the game together. We all know what a talented reporter she is with these initial CSR and RMR behind her name, but did you know she can sew too? For the 2007 KCRA convention, she made matching poodle skirts for the Douglas County reporters to wear to the sock hop, after which we were nicknamed the Steno Sisters. Our picture even made it into the Lawrence Journal World. Many of you know that she comes from a court reporting family with two sisters, a daughter, and a daughter-in-law who are court reporters. Can you imagine the stories that are told around the holiday table when they get together? I'll just go to the second page, okay? What people might not know about her is that she fell on the ice one year in December and broke her wrist. With one arm in a cast, she didn't let that slow her down. She finished the transcripts she had due without taking any help from the rest of us reporters who offered to finish them for her. She continued to come to the office every day and do the scheduling for all the reporters. And after approximately 8 weeks, she got her cast off, started her physical therapy, and was immediately sitting in the back of the courtroom with her machine, trying to get that wrist back into shape. Within 3 months of her fall, she was back in the courtroom taking a jury trial, even though she hadn't been released from physical therapy. And after a few weeks in court, she realized there was still a problem with her arm, and back to the doctor she went. She had a surgery to repair some torn cartilage, went to physical therapy, and anxiously awaited the doctor's approval for her to return to the courtroom. Mary Kay, Debbie, Shelley, and Joyce and I had the pleasure of working together for over 20 years, and somewhere along the line, someone nicknamed us the Fab Five. There were many times the five of us got together for lunch where we would discuss issues affecting the reporters, and oftentimes to share funny stories about things that happened to us in the courtroom. Be sure to ask her about her wardrobe malfunction as she walked in front of the jury, or the time when she tucked her cell phone down the front of her blouse as she went for a walk over the lunch hour and forgot to remove it before she went into court for the afternoon docket. When it began to ring, she calmly turned her back to the audience in the courtroom to retrieve it from her blouse. As they say, laughter soothes the soul, and she always has us laughing. Mary Kay is very busy overnight, too. It's not unusual to receive a text message or email from her anywhere from 11 p.m. to 2 in the morning about something she needs to tell the court reporters. Those of us that require more sleep learn to silence our phones so we don't get those late night texts. and we can get caught up on things the next morning and know what we need to know. Thank you, Mary Kay, for all you've given to the profession of court reporting. And after almost 50 years, you are officially off the record for now. After a busy summer with your grandchildren, perhaps that would be the perfect time to start that book we've been suggesting, because we are confident there will be many more stories to tell. And may you truly enjoy the next chapter.
Well, there was no program, so I thought I might get off the hook here today. I've been tapped in, so. My name is Miranda Cohen. I'm Mary Kay's daughter. Over here is the rest of her family, her daughter Haley, her son TJ, and everybody. Her grandkids and sister, in-law, sister. All right. So for over the years, I have been writing odes for namely judges who are getting sworn in. So I've actually only written one for retirement, and that was for the last judge that I worked for, Nancy Parrish. And so I was tapped in to do another one for my mom's retirement here. And so I'm gonna go ahead and read that to you, although I gotta tell you, it was really hard to write this for me because I didn't work with Mary Kay. I grew up in her house. Very, very, very different things. And I was even telling Judge Glover and Judge Donovan at lunch the other day, I said, I have a lot of stories here, but you know, probably a bunch that she would not want many people to hear. So I did kind of keep this short and sweet. And I tried to do my best to be good. Okay. Picture it, if you're old enough, it's 1975. There stood a 19-year-old MK with determination and drive. She took her first job in KC, but after a pinch on the butt by her judge, soon realized this was probably the better place to be. When Judge Paddock took her under his wing, she knew she'd found the place to do everything. She got married, had kids, and continued to grind. And just like that, 50 years had gone by. Over the years, the judges, and most notably, the hideous orange carpet that was in here, has changed. But for a half a century, one thing's remained the same. That's the lady sitting in that chair, taking down your arguments year after year. You know, when you were a kid and your parents told you about their day at the table? Well, in our house, courtroom chronicles were a dinnertime staple. Rapes and murders, a child getting chopped up by the river. We heard it all, stories that would make most people shiver. Undoubtedly giving us that real life perspective. Over time, all those stories teaching us to be extremely objective. Over the years, countless folks have come to her for Mary Kay's free legal advice, often referred to as the greatest non-lawyer there ever was at a very fair price. I really can't tell you how many divorces she's helped people through. We'll never know, is it 10, 20, or maybe just a few? But I'm pretty confident this one thing's for sure. This is a place where she's become a fixture. I know she'll be missed by so many of you. A top dog of reporters you knew you could bring any problem to. She was a fixer, and now that will be gone. And the question arises for many of you, now who will be that person I can always count on? It's hard to lose someone special that you've worked with side by side for so many years. But Mom, it's time to sit by your pool any day of the week and have a couple of beers. You've accomplished so much and touched so many lives, but it's time to kill that overdrive. Learn something new and something for you. I know it will be hard for you to let it all go, but Carl might like if you learned how to mow. The shoes will be big for her replacement to follow. A pill I'm sure this court has been dreading to swallow. But Mom/Mary Kay, everyone wishes you the best. Congratulations on your retirement. We've all been truly blessed.
Wow. Need 2 boxes. Oh, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. I love all of you. You're all from so many different walks of life for me here, and it just means so much to me. So, um, and you've kind of already been introduced. All my kids and grandkids are here, and Carl, my partner, is here, and Vesta, my sister, she's one of our court reporter sisters. My other siblings weren't able to make it, but so we have another sister that is a retired court reporter. But of course, Miranda's a court reporter. Sarah, my daughter-in-law, is a court reporter. So we, keep that in the family. Haley she's like, no court reporting. I'm going the nursing route. Anyway, so it's, they've experienced a lot of good and bad from me from this career. Anyway, I did a lot of, long hour working at night, transcripts and things like that, and missed things of my family sometimes because of it. But I remember even being in labor going, I got to get this transcript done before this baby comes. So, but anyway, my family, they're my rock. So I love them all. So, and the 3 judges that I work for here, Judge Paddock, they were all so different from each other, but all so wonderful. Each one of them, it's no wonder I stayed here for 50 years because they were all perfect in their own way. And I couldn't have asked for anything better. With Judge Paddock, I started with him, as they said, over in the museum, we're relics. And so, we watched this building be finished, being built. And he was a very, how do I explain Judge Paddock? Staunch, and most people were afraid of him in the courtroom, in the office. Most wonderful person ever. And one thing that was fun that happened with Judge Paddock, and some of you probably remember it, Todd, you would have been around, and I don't know, I can't see the really older ones, but anyway, sorry. But they actually did a movie in this courtroom. It was called, I have to go back and look, A Matter of A Matter of Justice. And we had Martin Sheen and Patty Duke here. And Martin Sheen would come back in the office and have coffee with us every day. I've got a picture with his arm around me. It was just really fun. Patty Duke, she didn't want to talk to us. Anyway, but it was fun. They turned this whole court, and for Judge Paddock to allow this to happen because of his personality is amazing. But they turned it into a Hawaii scene. They put the Hawaii seal over that. They bought palm trees in like you would have palm trees in a courtroom. But anyway, so they shot that movie in here. So that was really, Tim Reiling was actually a juror on that. I asked them if I could be the court reporter, and they said they already had one. Anyway, and for those that knew him, you would appreciate this. But I go into his office one day and I said, can I ask you a tax question? He thinks I said, can I ask you a sex question? For Judge Paddock, he was like, Um, um, So anyway, yeah, we got that cleared up. So anyway, but he was one, he always wore the half glasses and, oh yeah, Mike Riley, you wouldn't remember all of his, how he was, but anyway, he would have his half glasses and when you were in trouble, you would look over those half glasses like this and they would change course usually. I remember someone coming up to the bench and put their arms on the bench, an attorney. Get your arms off of that bench. That was just how he was, but he was a great judge. He was just a great judge. He would, for those of you that would have known Mitt Allen, which his son is Mickey Allen, but Mitt was in here with a pro se party on a jury trial, and Mitt's temper was getting the best of him. And they were ready to have a fight, physical fight in the courtroom. And Judge Paddock just silently goes, boys, take it on outside. And then we had a jury trial one time with Reuben Christoph. I don't know if he's still around or not, but you know. But anyway, and his co-counsel was Mr. Zamaitis, and I don't remember his first name, but it had to do with a resident in a nursing home being slapped. And so, and during closing argument, Reuben Christoph comes over to his co-counsel, who didn't know this was going to happen, and just slaps the hell out of him, just to show the jury what this might be. And I mean, the whole courtroom jumped, you know, when this happened, because it wasn't just a little slap. Yeah. And Judge Paddock just quietly let it go on. And anyway, that was just some of the funny things. And one of the big cases we had when Judge Paddock was here was they had a big explosion downtown. A bunch of the buildings blew up or had destroyed buildings and things like that. And many, many lawsuits were filed over it. And there was a time we had, I don't know, there was probably 6 attorneys. The only attorney I really remember was John Lungstrom, who ended up becoming a federal judge, but because of what he did afterwards. But anyway, it was like at the end of the day, like 5 o'clock. They'd all been talking on top of each other. I'm 8 months pregnant and I've had it. And we're the quiet ones. We don't say anything. But at this point, I'd had it, and I stand up and I said, I can't take it anymore. Judge Paddock in his little half glasses turns and goes, I think we'll recess for the evening. John Langstrom came up to me and hugged me and said, I'm so sorry, I won't ever do it again. And I go back in my office and I'm just bawling like a baby, and Judge Paddock comes and puts his arm around me and says, it's okay, I know when my wife was pregnant, I had nothing to do with being pregnant. But, and he didn't usually get real personal like that, so it was kind of a big deal. But anyway, those are just stories I remember, and unfortunately, he passed away this last year. So, and then we had Judge Murphy. Is he here? He was going to try and come. But anyway, I worked for Judge Murphy for 15 years, and he was a judge and a farmer, and he loved his cows. And we would get calls in the office all the time from neighbors that his cows were loose. And so we'd have to stop court so he could go call his neighbors to get his cows back in, or whatever he had to do with his cows and things like that. So, and I remember we had, of course, the judges do weddings, and we had this one couple. I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. It was kind of like Arkansas type people. I know I shouldn't say that, but I can. I'm retiring. They're going to fire me. So anyway, this couple comes in and they want him to waive the 3-day marriage. I don't even know if they still do that anymore, but anyway. And I said, so are you wanting him to marry you? No, we already have a priester. I said, a what? We have a priester already. We just need to have him to waive it. I said, oh, okay. So I go in and say, they already have a priester. He goes, okay. Anyway, and then a funny story with him is he had an ink pen in his pocket, which had ink draining out of and Shelley was in the office at that time, the next door to us. And she goes, I know how to fix that. If you just put hairspray on it, it will, take care of it. And I have some hairspray. And he goes, okay. So she goes to get her hairspray and it just expands. Anyway, and then on my 40th birthday, they brought in a dancing bear as they set up like a hearing and called the first witness, and it's a dancing bear that. Anyway, one of the funniest, I don't know if it's funny, one of the crazy, it's probably it's definitely in the top craziest cases I ever had, was with Judge Murphy. And it was this couple that he was a professor and she was a special ed teacher, which is kind of scary because she was going through a midlife crisis. She was probably in her 40s, and her husband was going to move to the East Coast to take a job, and it was going to take their teenage kids with them, and she was going to stay here and sell the house. But she was acting strange, very like she's midlife crisis like, dressing and bought a long fall wig and was dressing that way. you know. And she started like going after the stock boy at Dillon's and buying him all kinds of gifts and, Air Jordan shoes. What 18-year-old boy doesn't want new Air Jordan shoes? And whatever he wanted, and she was buying him. And it was, the husband was noticing she's acting stranger and stranger all the time. He's now back on the East Coast. He comes back and hides in the attic of their house to listen to what might be going on, and taps the phone. And he disguises his voice one time and says wants to come over to see her, and says he's from Dillon's, whatever the kid's name was. He had learned what the kid's name was or whatever. And make sure you're wearing your negligee. Or she opens the door in her negligee. Well, that didn't go well. And so what he ends up doing is going over to Dillon's at gunpoint, kidnapping the stock boy and taking him to the Virginia Inn, making him drive the car. But the kid's so scared. He's trying to get the key out of the car, but you have to push a button to get the key out, and he can't figure it out. So, the husband has the kids stand out while he gets the key out, and the kids runs and gets back to Dillon's to say, there's this really crazy guy. He's really crazy guy. And anyway, it was definitely one of the more interesting cases we had. So probably one of the worst cases I had was actually, I think, with Judge Paddock. I lose track of who did what, but it was kind of alluded to. But John Williams was a transient that lived down by the river, and he befriended this little 10-year-old boy, took him fishing every day. The kid didn't come from a real great family. He lived around there. And so the kid would go fishing with him every day. This is the one case, I could usually go home and not think about cases, but this is one I took home because I had a little 10-year-old boy who was a little blonde haired, and, you just think, God, it could happen to any of us. But he ended up killing this little boy and cutting off all of his limbs and burying them all along the lake and the river and stuff like that. But anyway, that was probably one of the worst cases I ever took. Oh, and then there was Dr. Eric Mitchell, who was a coroner here. And it was a murder trial, and he is testifying on Halloween. And all of a sudden, Halloween music starts going off. Everybody's looking around like, what is going on? Well, he reaches down, he goes, I'm sorry, my wife told me I needed to wear my Halloween socks today. So, anyway, oh, and also with Judge Murphy, we had a social worker in chambers on something, and the judge raises his hand to swear her in, and she high fives him. So when we go into court and she's getting ready to testify and I'm getting ready to swear her in, he goes, watch out. So then we had another case, Scott Staggs. It was a murder trial, and he ended up getting 60 years, but that was the one hearing that we had at the jail courtroom that all the deputies were in riot gear. And because he was so violent, and he was still, even with all of those deputies, was able to take his knee and tip the table all the way over. And so that was just another case that I came across. As I was getting ready for this, I've just been reminiscing about all the different cases and things and people and that I've just have happened over the years. And there's many. And I wish I would have written them down because there was just so many at the time. There was also, I remember, I think it was maybe a mental illness case, but I just remember him sitting over there. Chris Coleman was the prosecutor because he asked me afterwards if I was okay, because all of a sudden in the middle of the hearing, I mean, he'd been quiet, and then he yells, "Hallelujah!" And I jumped out of my chair because it scared me. So anyway, and then we move on to my wonderful Judge Pokorny, who I love so much, and I'm going to miss her so much, and we'll still see each other. But 16 plus years that we've been together. I didn't know her, before, like she said, and we just became very good friends. And we've even done a little bit of traveling together and socialized together. And I just couldn't ask for a better boss. Probably call us two strong women, but we seem to make it together. But I would consider her one of my best friends, and always will. So she always, in fact, she talked about, or someone did, about my ex-husband, who's actually here with his wife. And I know it's crazy, but I always knew that, well, not right away, but sometime after, I did not want to be one of those families that were fighting over kids. And I wanted us to be able to get along and co-parent together. And we've done a great job co-parenting together. But Judge Pokorny would always say, because she knew about this, well, that I think I should make you the poster child of all my divorce cases. So anyway, a funny thing with her is we have he definitely has some mental health problems, but he calls her his queen. I'm the king, you're the queen, and we're married, but we really shouldn't be because of our religions. And he also called, wasn't he the one that called you the silver fox?
Somebody.
Oh, that was somebody. And then we recently had another mental health person that said, once I get my mental health figured out, we can be together. We're meant for each other. Yeah. Mhm. One of the major cases that we've had together was the triple homicide on Massachusetts Street. And that was a huge, huge thing with 3 deaths and 3 defendants and lots of, it was just a big case. And then we had just recently, the Reed case. I can't even think of his first name, but anyway, it was a murder, although he wasn't convicted. But anyway, we had pretty much a riot in the courtroom. And we ended up, I had no idea we had so many officers. And it's like, I'd walk in and, I mean, they were lying down that hall, like in their full gear. And it was, yeah, I felt like I was in LA, with everything going on. Anyway, and then we had a jury trial, in the last year or two, that it was one of the weirdest cases I'd ever taken. But we had a witness who, when she's on the witness stand, she gets asked a question, and all of a sudden, she slams her head on the witness stand and lays there. And everybody's like, what's going on? And the judge is like, security? Could you come and check on this? And Lori Powell, I don't think she's here, but she leans over and she goes, are you okay? Oh, and she just lays there. We ended up having to have let's see, Hotham, I think I saw Hotham here.
You also yell.
Oh, yes, I did also yell. When I go, because it was, yeah, that was, yeah. That was an interesting case, but anyway, she's been wonderful. And as I was going through, papers that I'd saved all the years and stuff like that, and I'm so glad Judge Malone is here, but I came across a note that he wrote me, that he'd seen an evaluation of mine. And I wanted to put this in here because I just loved it, but he says, I truly believe there can be no better court reporting group in the state. And it just touched my heart. So, and I didn't realize it till I started thinking about all this, but from the Division 1 and 2 doors, other than Judge Kaufman, every other judge on the wall I've worked for. And I'm like, it's time to retire. That's a whole lot of them. So, but boy, have we had a great group of judges here, and many have retired, and it's so wonderful. I mean, we have Malone, we have Judge Huff, we have Judge Kittle. Is there any other retired judges here? I think that's it. So anyway, it's great they're all here. I got to do, when the Supreme Court was here a couple years ago, as a traveling, Judge Kittle asked me if I would be the honorary bailiff for that. So that was kind of a neat thing that I got to do when they were here. They were at the Lead Center. And we've talked about our Fab Five reporters. We were, 5 of us were here together for so many years together. And it's like, I know people were always like, can I get a job in Douglas County? I said, I don't know anyone that's going to retire. So anyway, I treasure all of our friendships. But it's extended beyond that. We have great court reporters here now, and all of them. And I love them all, and Yeah, anyway. And they talked about the Steno sisters. There's a picture of us in our poodle skirts, I think, up here somewhere. But anyway, I couldn't not talk about our bailiffs, our AAs, Becky, that I worked with for how many, I don't know how many years, many years, through Judge Patty, through Judge Pokorny. So she was wonderful to work for, and I loved all of it. We're still friends and saying we're going to go out and have coffee together now. So, and then Ellen was an AA. I talked her into becoming a court reporter. So she was great. Aaron, I don't know if Aaron is here, but he was here a short while, but he was, and actually he's coming back for 2 weeks to fill in here as Jesse is going on a trip to Europe. But, and then Jesse that I think is here somewhere, but no, over here in the green. That's her favorite color, if anyone doesn't know. And, but anyway, she has been here for almost a year. And she was an intern here before that, but she has been so wonderful. She's like another daughter, other than she could probably be even my granddaughter at this point. But anyway, she's just wonderful. I'm going to miss her terribly also. I couldn't go without saying Linda, our court administrator. There she is. There's not a better court administrator in the state of Kansas. So she's just wonderful. She's always been helpful to the court reporters, and it's so very much appreciated. Been an amazing career. I've heard so much. I've learned so much. I've cried. I've laughed. But, there's so many times, we go back in the office and go, oh my God, did you hear what I hear? Really? Because I've been here 40 years, 50 years. I've never heard that before. Anyway, I'm going to kind of miss some of that, But anyway, as a court reporter, there's so many times that we're sitting there with our straight face, listening, thinking, you are so lying out of your teeth. We're the silent ones, but we have so many thoughts going on in our inside voices. And we correct people's grammar in our heads all the time. It's like, don't you know that's not proper grammar? Yeah, even some attorneys have probably got some of our death glares when they're going 350 words a minute, so. But, when I started, we used onion skin paper. I know there's probably only 2 or 3 people in here that probably even know what onion skin paper is. It was like this really, really thin, crinkly paper. And when we started, we had to use carbon paper. And when we made a mistake, we had to use our eraser and then pull the carbon back and erase the second one or the third one. It was, things have changed, so much. We started with a typewriter, for those that know what a typewriter is. And then it went to an electric typewriter, which that was great. And and the keyboard. And so things have definitely gotten better over the years. Yeah, they kind of referred to it, that I walk into court one day, it's a jury trial, of course. And at the end of the hearing, the sheriff's deputy and I are the only ones in there. And he goes, I don't know if you want me to tell you this, but your dress is up in your. I said, what? Yeah. Yeah, sure enough, I'm going to. Was the attorneys in here? Yeah. Was the jury in the box? Yeah. Okay. Wardrobe malfunctions, I guess they happen. So anyway, because of that, everybody always, especially, people don't wear dresses as much anymore, but people are very cautious before they walk out of their office or the bathroom or anything because of that. There was a time that in the Division III courtroom, the chair is on a ledge. and I rolled back off the ledge, upside down. So I'm cautious in that courtroom. So, and then the phone and my blouse that rings, of course, when I come back into court that I forget is in my blouse. And then one day I get a call at like 6 o'clock at night from my husband now, but anyway, and he says, is there any reason my car has been running in the parking lot all day long? I said, what? Yes. I got a call. He's on a business trip and he gets a call from the police department to say his car has been running in the parking lot all day long. And I said, oh, it's a fairly new car. It's one of the hybrid cars that was quiet. When I got it, and I drove it that morning and it was fairly new. And so I didn't know a lot about it, but it kept dinging at me when I was trying to get out. And I'm like, I don't know why it's dinging, but I got to go to court. So I came on in, worked through lunch. It was still 6 o'clock. I was still working. And that's when I got the call that, yeah, the car was still running. It only used a quarter of a tank of gas all day. So, and then here recently, because I'm old, I now have hearing aids. And this has never happened before until this day. And it's hooked up to Bluetooth to my phone, which is in my office. And I come into court, sit down, and my music decides to start playing in my hearing aids. I'm like, oh my God, I can't hear anyone because all I can hear is the music going on. So, I just have to pull them out. And so anyway, I'm going to miss all of the friendly faces here. We spend more time at work than we do at home. So you get these relationships with these people you work with, and to me, they're my lifelong friends. They're my work family, and I'll never forget them. So I feel like we're breaking up. But anyway, but I can't tell you how much I appreciate all of you coming and celebrating with me. It's kind of overwhelming. I walked out of my office last night, kind of with everything, the last thing, and bawled like a baby. So anyway, it's emotional for me. But anyway, thank you all for coming. There's a big party at Carnegie Hall. You're all invited. There's food, lots of alcohol, lots of non-alcohol. There's cake. So come and celebrate with us. So thank you so much.
Mary Kay, thanks. Thank you for the years of service, for the example you've been, and for sharing their stories with us today. We just all wish you the best, and see you around. Thank you all for being here. I hope you can all join us.
Linda, Katie, are you in charge of the? Are you in charge of the court presence to Mary Kay?
Oh, sorry,
Were you gonna give her any presents? Yeah.
They're all, except for the spots, the others, 4, 3 right now. Gold stars and the It's been a long time. How's it?
Just because if you go into the back, it says.
Hey, how mama?
I think it's.
How's it going? Oh, I'm so happy to see you. How's it going? Crazy? Ah. We're gonna make it. Oh, really?
So how's the
How'd
stress
it go?
level?
I just heard this summer it's like the hardest of it.
That trip would fall on you.
You'll kill it. You'll kill it.
That's what all the people that don't have to do it say.
We have a couple CR, yeah.
It's just
We have a
like-
couple
I
CRNAs.
did it, but I don't know.
We have a couple CRNAs instructors. They're like the first year is. You know,
It's like this, and anatomy, chemistry, and physics, and
all at the same time.
it's like,
Okay.
the anatomy class, pain, the medicine class,
Oh, really?
Oh.
I didn't know that they shouldn't have women that much.
Like 3 hours of lecture and 3 hours in lab, 3 times a week. They lecture in lab. It's for anatomy.
Then you had physical time with that.
Oh, my.
Am I losing a key?
I know, it's hard to come back now. You're, small.
Wow, that's a lot of keys.
Has ever come out there? Oh. Yeah, well,
You'll kill it.
Trying to-
You may go instantly gray.
No, I saw that picture of you posted on Instagram. Yes, it was. Incredible training.
Walk it out of this, so. Make it to the. So that's. Yes.
What?
Inside, we tried
I really got no blood, so it's some weird.
it. Then she has to come out. Yeah. Yeah. Layla, appreciate it. Crazy. She's gonna be a teenager. You know that, I don't know. Looking up to you.
City around this area. Yeah, so I can't watch it the other
I didn't see what it said.
What's it say? Yeah. Oh. Are you good?
Yes.
You know, I used to live in,
Oh, yes.
but I used to live in
Yeah, I right there.
There's 1 year old in my He went to.
Hey, that's how are you? It's good to see you. I told Barb, I said I gave Jack a couple sedatives. I took some, so. I didn't I'll make them both of them. No. Something on your mind. Careful. Volunteer. Always in my daycare every day. So. This right here. Even though our hands is gone in the next year or us. Which is further. Yeah. All of this. Is this a new thing or? I'm sure. Yeah. He's around here.
Working out.
I've got a couple extra meetings.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. Yeah.